Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Are you all excited to know what this video is about? I'm pretty sure you all are. It is a fact that each countries have a trained group of people to protect the country when needed, which we call an army in common. Obviously, we all know an army should be strong enough to protect the country in different situations. This video is not about the strong armies but the world's weakest armies. Try not to find your country in the list because you might be in trouble if so. 1. Bhutan Army, which can also be introduced as the Armed Forces of Bhutan. In Bhutan, 3 groups make up the Armed Forces of Bhutan, which are the Royal Bhutan Army, Royal Bodyguards, and Royal Bhutan Police. From the total population of 857,424, 8,000 are served in the military. But also they are all active personnel. It is stated that Bhutan's military's inventory includes just 2 helicopters and 27 armored land vehicles. The unbelievable fact is that Bhutan does not have a navy in the country because it is a landlocked country. Its logistics only consist of 2 airports. Yet, according to the reporters, the country has an external debt of more than $2.6 billion. 2. Kosovo Army, which is also known as the Kosovo Security Force, KSV. The Kosovo Security Force was founded in 2008 after the country's declaration of independence, and in 2018, it was on the process to become the Kosovo Armed Forces. Hopefully this process is proposed to be completed by 2028. Kosovo as a country has an available manpower of 46.4% of its total population, but only 37.6% is fit for service, and the remaining 9% is still in the process of reaching the military age per year. Currently, its military personnel population is 6,500. This can be considered as a weak army force since it has no air power and naval forces while bearing an external debt of over $2 billion. 3. Somalia, which has an army force named as the Somalia Armed Forces. This force was formed in 1960 and went through a rebuilding process in 2000. Somalia as a country has a population of 12 million people, and this is also known as the African continent's longest coastline. It is made up of 17,500 active personnel and 24,000 reserves. However, it had no paramilitary. It only had 65 armored land vehicles and 11 patrol vessels. Though it had having plenty of logistics such as 52 airports, 2 ports, 4 merchant fleets, 140 tanks and 430 armored warfare vehicles on land. It owes an external debt of over $5 billion. It is stated that though its military is significantly stronger than the Barbados due to its large population and internal crises, Somalian Army is considered as one of the weakest armies in the world. 4. Liberia, with an army named the Armed Forces of Liberia, AFL. This is known as the 3rd weakest military force in the world. It has 2,000 active personnel making up its total military personnel population. It has no reserve personnel and paramilitary exist. It also does not have air power. There are only 50 land armored vehicles and 6 naval assets. Like Somalia, Liberia has a number of airports, 29, ports, 2, and merchant fleets, 3,492, at the expense of $826 million in external debt. 5. Sierra Leone has formed an army named the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, RSLAF. This is considered as one of the smallest armies in the world, which has 9,000 active personnel. It does not run reserves personnel or paramilitary. Its land force is supported by 20 armored vehicles and its naval force has 10 total assets. In addition, it has 8 airports, 3 ports, and 591 merchant fleets. Though its external debt is somewhat high, which is more than $1.6 billion. 6. Suriname country, which has an army force named the Suriname National Army. The Suriname National Army, deemed the weakest army in the world. This was founded in 1980. Following a coup d'état, This country has a total population of 614,749. The available manpower is 135,245. 79,917 are fit for service and about 3,000 are reaching the military age annually. Presently, the Army has 1,800 active personnel. This country also have no reserve personnel and paramilitary. It owns 3 helicopters, 100 armored land vehicles, and 18 naval assets. Which makes Suriname the worst army in the world. 7. North Macedonia, with an army named as the Army of the Republic of North Macedonia. The Army of the Republic of North Macedonia is made up of active personnel, reserve personnel, and paramilitary. With a total military population is 14,500, from which 7,500 are on active duty, 3,000 are in reserve, and 4,000 are paramilitary. Its aircraft strength includes 10 trainers and 10 helicopters, while its land forces are bolstered by 10 tanks, 11 rocket projectors, and 228 armored vehicles. Unfortunately, it has no naval force. This also does not have ports and merchant fleets. This only has an external debt of over $9 billion as of the reports as a 2022 fiscal year. 8. Central African Republic has its army named as the Central African Armed Forces. This army was found in 1960 but was not in the state of functional, which took up to 2012 to make it barely functional due to the outbreak of the Civil War. The Central African Armed Forces has 10,000 active personnel and 1,000 members in the paramilitary. It does not have any reserve personnel. Its 4.7 million residents are guarded by 4 T-55 main battle tanks, 4 aircraft, 2 helicopters, and 51 armored fighting vehicles. Where it has failed, the UN has stepped in to try to restore democratic freedoms and stability in the nation. It has 2 transport aircraft and 1 helicopter. For the land forces, there are 3 tanks and 89 armored vehicles. And also it lacks merchant fleets but does operate 2 ports and 39 airports. Its existing external debt is close to $780 million. Since it is a war-torn country, people think that it might have a tough military. But to know that as the country's 4,500-man Central African Armed Forces have been condemned not just for a lack of military skills, but also for corruption, human rights violations, and general inefficiency. 9. Panama, with an army named the Panamanian Public Forces. Panama's force consists of 27,000 paramilitary members. Though it has a significant number of population, it has 0 active personnel, which makes the Panamanian Public Forces one of the least powerful military in the world. Its air power is made up of 12 transport aircraft and 22 helicopters, while its land forces own 50 armored vehicles. There are a total of 12 naval assets. Panama is also armed with many logistics, including 117 airports, 3 ports, and 7,980 merchant fleets. But it also has an external debt of extremely high at $101 billion. 10. Montenegro, which has an army named the Armed Forces of Montenegro. This was established in 1879 and joined NATO as the 29th member in 2017. This is considered as the 3rd worst military power army in NATO. Its total military personnel population of 12,000, 2,000 are active and 10,000 are paramilitary members. It does not have any reserve personnel. Presently it has an available manpower is only 145 of a total population of 607,414, and just 3,645 are reaching the military age annually. Its air power is reliant on 11 helicopters. This can be considered as a bit better, as its land forces have 12 towed artilleries, 18 rocket projectors, and 100 armored vehicles. It has a total of 12 naval assets. And it has a fairly decent number of logistics, which contains 5 airports, 1 port, and 17 merchant fleets. However, its external debt reached $2.5 billion. The Army of Bahamas. This Caribbean country has 700 islands and a population of over 400,000 people, a large proportion of whom are descendants of enslaved Africans. Because the government lacks a recognized army or air force, its navy, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, is entrusted with safeguarding its people. It has around 1,600 enlisted men and women distributed into 3 squadrons, which are Commando Squadron, Patrol Squadron, and Air Wing. Bahamas has 11 marine vessels monitoring its waterways, but its air wing is currently down to only 3 planes. The Bahamas military budget of $49 million was increased in 2014 by a $232 million investment for the Sandy Bottom Project. The Army of Mongolia. Mongols do not have a navy since they are a landlocked kingdom. They're also trapped between Russia and China, where they are being unable to protect themselves against either. It is said that the Mongols have dispatched troops to Iraq and Afghanistan to aid the United States, but their specialty is in training American troops on how to recognize and operate outdated Soviet-made guns and equipment when required. The Army of Tajikistan. This is an army which can be considered as an utter failure. Tajik military equipment is not from the Soviet era. In 1994, Tajikistan created their own army, which almost immediately precipitated a civil war. Tajiks choose to serve in the Russian army since it pays more. Abducted and hazed draftees are a common occurrence. The Army of Barbados. Barbados is a small island with a population of around 278,000. The Barbados Defense Force was established in 1979, which is made up of 3 components, which are the Barbados Regiment, the Barbados Coast Guard, and the Barbados Cadet Corps. The Barbados Defense Force's total manpower is estimated to be 1,000 individuals, monitoring the waterways for signals of criminal activity and stationed on the island in case of internal problems. According to reports, the country's air wing has 1 Cessna 402C aircraft. It is stated that the People's Republic of China provided $3 million to the Barbados Defense Force in 2016 to deal with the issues arose in the country, in addition to the Barbados Defense Force's $49 million military budget. The Army of Gambia. The Republic of the Gambia is popular for its internal warfare. According to reports, approximately a third of the country's 1.8 million residents live on less than $1.25 per day, which does not bode well for a robust military. The Gambia military consists of 2 components, which are the National Army and the Gambian Navy. Each of the components have 2,500 men. The Gambia National Army currently has 900 men and a total of 12 armored vehicles. Many of its soldiers serve as peacekeepers in other African countries. When the government purchased a Sukhoi Su-25 assault fighter in 2002, the country considered establishing a Gambian air force, but it was unstable. The Gambia also has a tiny fleet with about 250 troops. Due to a lack of funds, the Navy has depended heavily on contributions to keep its fleet up to date. Taiwan supplied 3 8-ton armed vessels in 2013 to replace the Gambian Navy's fairly elderly ships. You are safe if your country is not in the list. If you like the content, make sure to hit the like button. And to get more updates, don't forget to subscribe us. Till the next time, stay tuned.